The Manor Lord's new update is here for beta, only available for beta, as you can see. Here are the instructions, like press Windows E, go to saves, to back up your save, of course. Then you gotta go open Steam, which is currently open. Right click on this, go to properties, and go to betas, and then you gotta input a code into this thing. Where is it? Pre-release. No, wait. Very nice basket. You gotta type that in, go to pre-release, and wait for the game to update. Anyway, I gotta apologize for not streaming or uploading that much, because I've been very sick and coughing a little bit. I'm trying not to cough right now. I'm coughing a lot lately. But anyway, here's the update. It's a very interesting one, I gotta say. So, gameplay imbalance. It's 0.7.991. Winter fishing changed to advanced pond keeping and now also doubles the pond's capacity, which is very good. That makes actually winter fishing kind of worth it. When bought, sheep all have pregnancy counter set to 0 for better predictability of the sheep breeding development branch. Up fish pond regrowth to 50% in spring seasons. Increase fishing spots to 11 per pond. Fish pond capacity is no longer random and has doubled from the previous maximum. Default fishing reserved up to 120 to avoid players overfishing by default. Increase fishing action speed by reducing loop repetitions from 5 to 1, or to 2, not 1. Experimental. The bonus resource node was removed since most people thought it was a bug. I don't know what bonus resource they're talking about, but since most people expect between 2 to 3 ponds and 2 to 3 salt deposits per map, instead of spawning them as a bonus node for a random pool, fishing ponds can now randomly replace berry deposits, and salt deposits can randomly replace iron deposits. Once again, the randomization uses a fixed pool to spawn 2 to 3 of those per map, as the player seems to expect. Okay, so this is actually a very interesting update. So potentially we may not get like a rich deposit of iron at all, but a rich deposit of salt, which is it was pretty good. Salt is a very, very important resource. Poland, I believe, had this massive salt deposit, which they turned into a church, which is a very interesting story. But we get 2 to 3 salt deposits and 2 to 3 ponds per map, as opposed to just one random pond and one random salt deposit, or no ponds or salt deposits at all. This time, they can replace your buried deposit, and you can basically just get fish, which I think is a pretty good thing to have. That's a good alternative. I think that's. Having alternative bits of food, I think, is important. Now, the thing that I've been struggling with is food lately, like producing food, especially with this update, because food managing the amount of food we get is a problem. Now, the best way to do that is to rush through trade, like our trade focuses, which I don't really like to do that much, but there are 2 things you can do: rush through trade focuses, or rush through farm. If you spawn in a rich farm area, you can potentially get a lot of food set up at the start. Of course, that's my thinking. But anyway, the update added generic storage to the malt house since it stores fuel. Spoilage is now rounded up from excuse me 1.4 becomes 1 unit. Up from half, 1.4 becomes 1 unit. Instead of always rounding up, its spoilage is lower than the single unit but greater than 0. It becomes a % chance to spoil. Okay, that's interesting. Market stalls now have max spoilage reduction, as in real life it would have a high turnover, and it was too punishing. Oh, okay, so they actually fixed the problem with the fact that I kept losing food. That's And it was too funny. Marcus Souls now have max spoilage reduction, as in real life it would have a high turnover. It's yeah, that was my problem. Like I kept losing so much food that I had to focus almost entirely on producing food, especially for the eggs. You can barely even produce enough. Like I know people who have grown eggs, and I had talked about this in Medieval Dynasty. I don't know why I'm doing this during an update read through, but I just wanted to say that some people can produce like 1,000 eggs a day with their chicken coops, which is pretty insane. But I believe my uncle, of course, it's about 100 eggs, and actually it's 2 dozen. No, not 2 dozen. I'm losing my train of thought. It's either 100 to 200 eggs, and they get to sell those eggs to their neighbors. That's how they make some of their money. In a way, it might be cheaper than actually raising your own chickens might be cheaper than buying eggs at this point, and I'm tempted to do that. But anyway, let's see. A minimum of 2 sheep are now required for breeding to occur. Wait a minute. Does that mean... Does that mean a sheep was giving birth as if it were a lizard? How did I even miss that bug? Sheep pregnancy duration lowered to 145 days, plus minus 1. A variable is currently hidden in the game. I honestly don't like the breeding in the first place. You have to, like, get that focus, which I think is kind of dumb, especially when it comes to sheep. I'd rather that it's just not be a thing as a research thing or an ability. I think they should be able to get pregnant naturally. And if there's such a thing, this is what I think. If they're going to have something like that, they should make it so that there's a fatality rate per birth, and the focus, one of the ability trees or whatever, the focus trees, will have it so that the fatality rate is set to 0 as soon as you get that, as opposed to having like you have to have a focus or whatever in order for them to breed, because I don't really like it that much. I don't agree with it. I think it should be instead they should be allowed to have birth, but there should be fatality rates per birth, like a percentage for fatality rates, because professional shepherds have to make sure their sheep are kept alive. And they have to attend them when they're giving birth, because sometimes their birth can get complicated, and they have to be there for them and help with the birth. Otherwise, that sheep could, or the baby sheep could end up dead. They might have to kill either the mother or the child in order to save the sheep, and that's why you usually have professional shepherds to prevent that, or ranchers, But anyway, the number of lambs born per region cap increased to a maximum of 2 every 10 days. That's interesting. Goat extension yield changed to 2 hides and 1 meat every 150 days. Wait, they can provide meat? Well, that's new. Plus 1 extra meat with advanced skinning development branch. So that should help our meat problem. With advanced skinning. Okay, we had to have advanced skinning for that, apparently. I don't know. But that is a potential extra solving our food problem. Some minor changes. Enhance the tooltip for the NA price to explain better why it's not available. Fuel reserve renamed to fuel stockpile, not to confuse with the new reserve options. Removed the max capacity placeholder text. Added max positive capacity to save data. Added a spoilage multiplier difficulty setting to the game setup. That's actually, yeah, that's nice addition. If an animal breeding fails due to collision, another attempt will be made next cycle. Due to collision. That's interesting. Adjusted stone gate spawning locations for specific level 3 plots. Left side anchored and no expansion upgrade. Added new help buttons to reserve and production limit, and added entries for the text and bar UI and work area and road curvatures. Crash fixes. Fix the crash when drawing over 200 waypoints for a squad. Bug fixes. Fixed villager can fetch water from not fully constructed well. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call that a bug, but sure. It'd be funny people just going over to an unfinished well and, you know, just grabbing water out of it. It's like, hey, I'm not finished, guys. Let me finish first. You've been working on this for 2 months. I need the water. Anyway, fixed windmill does not respect production limit. Fix the tavern production limit being visible even though it doesn't produce anything. Fixed invalid push force scaling at high frame rates, resulting in units pushing themselves away indefinitely in rare situations. Fixed deer not being startled by buildings. Fix some parts of the level 3 resident stone gate while floating or spawning with gaps. Fix level 3 stone gate not always being spawned deterministically when a plot is narrow and there is no expansion, leading to some buildings appearing as unconstructed after loading a save. Fixed villagers and oxen sometimes not respecting storage filters. Fixed berry regional strength sometimes being picked even though there is no berry spawn because the pond replaced them. Fixed the heads sometimes disappearing when a newly spawned villager exits a building. Oh, that reminds me of Kingdom Come Deliverance. You know, that was really, it was really, actually it wasn't even the heads, it was just the entire body just missing. That bug was so bad. It's not really a bug, it's like a graphical bug, and I hated that so much. Like, oh, this game is so good, everybody's good, it's just, oh, they're lying to you. And I'm serious. This happens so often. Like, even when I started upgrading my computer and going back to it, it kept happening 1/4 of the time I would play the game. But anyway, fixed soldiers running away from the enemy immediately after loading a save. Fixed soldiers running away from the enemy immediately after loading. I think the issue is the soldiers are, even before the save, like, they run away from, well, it's technically a AI, but the AI would, soldiers run away and leave their archers to die, which is weird. Alright, fixed steer counting as 2 when breeding. Fixed setting highlights disappearing after changing the language. Fixed storehouse workers collecting fuel stockpiles from buildings that need to be refueled. Fixed the roof tiles icon being grayed. Fixed the constantly pause and unpause the game to stop days by passing exploit. Fixed deer icon not moving to their lair location after reloading the game. Fixed lamb age not loading properly. Cosmetics tried to tune the ice material to make it less like, according to one player's, concrete. Experimental pond material changes. The water edge is softened at the cost of AA motion precision. Sadly, we can't have both. Pond water now receives shadows. Note, shadows will look pixelated up close with sharp shadow settings. Epic is working on a solution as we speak. If you enjoy playing Manor, please take a moment to share feedback in a Steam review. Thank you for playing. Greg and the team. Alright, yeah, so that was the read through here. My throat is kind of very sore. So, that was the update, and I hope if you have the game, you should go ahead and play it. If you don't have it, you should give it a try, or maybe wait for an update. I don't know. But I think it's coming along nicely. My fear is that it might end up getting imbalanced at some point, like the medieval dynasty devs did to their game. It's still relatively unbalanced, and to keep balancing the wrong items for some reason. I don't know why. This has been an issue people have been complaining about. I have been complaining about for a long time, but they haven't fixed it. But you know, that's a completely another thing entirely. So that was Man Lords. I hope you enjoyed this read through. I also stream, by the way, so if you'll go ahead and hit that follow or subscribe button, come join me during my streams. I'll stream Manor, sometimes Medieval Dynasty. I think I'm doing Captain of Industry, going back to Satisfactory. I also play Holy 4, and currently they are billions. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and good day.